I'm not Jim Cantor. I'm Mark Mancini with VRBO Outstanding. And this week's episode is preparing for a hurricane with Hurricane Ian. So welcome back. Now in the background we have Hurricane Ian going on, and hence the topic for preparing for a hurricane. The idea just came to me out of nowhere. So one of the things I want to make sure you're aware of, you may be a Floridian with extensive experience in hurricanes, but please watch this entire episode. We're going to cover some things you may not be aware of, including what to do with the stuff called Seal and Peel by DAP. That's a secret we'll go over later. But first, I want to talk about coastal towns and whether it's your primary residence or your short-term rental. With a coastal home, it's not a matter of if a hurricane is going to strike, but when. And it's not going to be one or two. They're going to go on forever. So you have to know what to be prepared for, and also what your guests have to be prepared for. Now in a previous episode, we talked about the importance of a signed RA, or a signed rental agreement. In that signed rental agreement, you should specify what refunds they are or are not entitled to, and you also have to check with your state and county laws. Some states require that during a mandatory evacuation that you prorate their stay and give them a refund on that amount. There are some states that say it is the county's role to do that. Like for instance, Florida does not require that you refund money based upon a hurricane evacuation. There are some counties in Florida for vacation rentals that will stipulate that. Now here in Monroe County, where we are in the Florida Keys, there is no such law. So in our rental agreement, there is no refund for hurricanes. Now what we do offer and what we do suggest, now that Airbnb now offers it, VRBO always offers it, and when you direct book through me with owner reservations, my guests can get travel insurance. Now if they think there's going to be something that maybe an illness or a death or something, or maybe they're traveling from June 1st till November when it's hurricane season, get travel insurance. Now that is key, because I'm always going to defer to your policy and if they have travel insurance. Yeah, it sucks if people have a vacation ruined from a hurricane, but they should have been prepared with travel insurance. It's not your responsibility to break your policy, okay? Now, we're gonna go over a couple things with preparedness, and one of the things I wanna make sure I'm clear about is if you ever feel uncertain, always err on the side of safety. If it's a Cat 4 or Cat 5 hurricane, get the hell out of here, okay? My wife and I stay during hurricanes. A Cat 4, Cat 5, we're not going to stay for. It's not worth it. Now, another thing to consider is, and these are obvious things, if you've got children, old people, if you're on medication that needs to be refrigerated, you definitely have to evacuate no matter what the situation. Because remember, there's likely going to be a loss of power. And okay, you can do without TV or internet for a little while, but you're also going to do without air conditioning, and that's going to probably be an issue for some people. So if you're going to stay, you have to be totally prepared. You have to be invested, and then you also have to realize if it does turn for the worst, because hurricanes can change instantly and get bad instantly. Know if it's safe to get out, to get out. Always have a backup plan, and always pack a bug out bag. Now, some of you know what a bug out bag is. It's your medications, your toiletries, change of clothes, money, any important documents and everything you may need to re-enter. One of the reasons why I hate evacuating is because not only is it a pain in the butt to get out because everyone else is getting out too and it's traffic, getting it back in is painful. It's just an uncomfortable situation. So we have homes, for instance, that have hurricane-proof windows, and we feel okay to stay here. One of the things I do want to mention about windows and hurricane-proof windows, if you don't have a hurricane-proof window or door and there is that, for instance, windows that lift up and down are not hurricane rated. What you're going to want to get is 3M film. Now that 3M film does a couple things. You can get a tint to block some UV rays to prevent things from fading and from the heat coming into the home. But also, if an object flies through the glass won't shatter everywhere. It'll stay together on that film. That 3M film is phenomenal. They have commercial grade film that actually does the same thing when there's bombs or bullets. It keeps everything intact, so it doesn't send shards of glass everywhere, which can hurt people. So 3M film is something I know I've put in a couple of my South Carolina homes. It was several $1,000s, but it was worth the investment. Now, when you stay for a hurricane, you have to be fully prepared. Obviously, the food, the water, have medications, have money, but there's other things too. And if you're living in the South, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, one thing you need to have, and it may not be for everyone, is a gun. Remember, bad times bring out bad people. And so always want to protect yourself. Make sure you have your gun. Second thing you're gonna want besides the food and water is fuel. We always want you to fill up everything, your propane tanks, your vehicle, jet skis, boats, your spare jugs. You're gonna want to be able to siphon whenever you have to, okay? Other things you're gonna need is a shop vac. Shop vac, for when you're cleaning everything up, you need to suck up some of that water. Get the wet dry shop vacs, probably about a 5 or 6 gallon one would be great. Blowers, always keep those in stock. Get them before the storm, because afterwards, they're not there. People have already bought them up. So those blowers, and even fans too, will help out. Now, one time when I went through Hurricane Matthew, you know, I purchased fans, but I also borrowed some from friends. I borrowed box fans and those big warehouse fans that people have, just to dry up some of that water, because that's one of the things you have to do when you're doing repairs on your home. So again, you got to make sure you have everything. Have rope handy. I have a spool, and I don't know how many 100 feet it is, but it's a plastic rope because it floats. The cotton rope doesn't float, it sinks. And that rope is good for tying things down, to use in any type of emergency, in a pinch. Always have duct tape. You can use duct tape to fix anything. Have duct tape. There's a lot of other things that we're going to go through this video that you're going to want to have to be prepared. And prepared if you're going to stay. But I encourage you, only stay if you really think you can handle it. If you're someone who can weather storms and think through situations, remember that there is a difference between impulse and gut. Impulse is something drops on the table and you go to grab it, but you don't think quick enough because it could be a knife, okay? Going with your gut is when you're thinking it through a little bit more, okay? It's not a quick reaction. When you're going through a storm like this, you're gonna need to make some quick decisions, but not impulsive ones. You're gonna wanna wait and think things through to see what the possible ramifications are. Don't make impulsive decisions, but do trust your gut. Now, your short-term rental should always have a fire extinguisher and a first aid kit in all of your kitchens. If you have more than one kitchen, some of your homes have 2 kitchens, have a fire extinguisher in both and a first aid kit in both. So you should already have that. This should not be something else you're looking for. We always talk about the importance of boots on the ground. For a hurricane, that is the best thing. You may live near a short-term rental and handle this yourself, or you may decide to go to your short-term rental for the hurricane to take care of it yourself. But if not, you need someone there you can trust, who's reliable, who will take care of things for you. They may have to board up your windows. They're going to have to probably take care of your outdoor furniture, your kayaks, bikes, grills, etc. Grills are very top-heavy. Wind knocks them right over, so you definitely have to make sure they're indoors. Now, you also want to make sure you have a friends network. If you're staying, make sure you know what neighbors and friends are also staying and be in touch with them. Okay, have that friends network. And finally, when that storm is over, make sure you tell all your friends you're okay. Go to Facebook, people who are inquiring, make sure you let them know you're okay and tell others not to keep bothering you. You're okay, and you're going to take care of business. In the next episode, when we talk about repairs after a hurricane, we're going to talk about how to assess, triage and prioritize your repairs and get to it and hunker down. Now, another thing you're going to want to have for a hurricane is alcohol, because you're going to need something to take the edge off. But don't get too drunk, because if something happens and you need to react to it, you don't need to be a stumbling drunk idiot. You need to be able to handle it. So it's okay to have a drink, take the edge off, but just don't drink till you're passed out. But it is tempting. Without internet, without TV, there's not going to be a lot to do. Hopefully you've got your spouse with you. You can think of something to do. You can have some great conversations, get back to that one-on-one time, and spend quality time together. Make the best of it. Light some candles and get through it. So we're going to talk about some of the things outside that you need to take care of when a hurricane hits. So we're going to talk about your outdoor furniture, your chase lounges, your tables, etc. Now remember, this is why you do not want glass countertops on your tables, and you definitely don't want umbrellas. They're not going to last, they're going to break, they're dangerous. It's always polywood or wicker, anything else like that. You have a couple different options. You can get rope, not cotton rope, but the artificial, the poly rope. And that's for a couple reasons. One, it's a little bit stronger, but number two, it's going to float. And you're going to want it to float in case it falls into the water. Now, the options are, besides tying it down, is also putting it into an enclosed trailer. Every short-term rental owner should have an enclosed trailer. Not only is it great for moving stuff between homes, but it is also good as a temporary shed for storing things. The third option you have is to get your furniture and drop it into the pool, okay? It'll be safe in the pool, it'll sink down to the bottom. You will have to take it out of the pool afterward, but it is a place where it'll be safe. Now, as you can see, it's been raining last night and the pool is overflowing. Should the water levels come up, and I'm concerned about sand getting into the pool, you always want to shut off all the power to your filters in the pool so that the pool does not get any of the sand in there, any debris through the filter. As you can see, the water levels are starting to get high. This is the highest I've seen it. You'll have debris, salt water going into the pool, which means we'll have to probably shock it and chlorinate it more tomorrow. Now, my pool tech, Richard, he already prepped for that. He added an extra chlorine tablet or two in preparation for this. But the water's supposed to go up 2 to 4 feet. Hopefully 2 feet, not 4 feet, because then it'll be in the pool. Thank you for joining us this week for a Hurricane Ian special on hurricane preparedness. Remember, next week is part 2. We have a bunch more tips and tricks to go over. And after that, we're going to do hurricane repairs and cleanup. So remember, hit the like and subscribe button below. We'll see you again next week. Thanks for joining us.